I stand in the doorway of our bedroom, watching Amelia pack for another night out. The soft light from the lamp casts shadows on her slender frame, highlighting the tension between us. My gut twists as I see the tight dress she's chosen, one she knows I hate. I can't keep quiet any longer. "Don't go to that club," I say, my voice firmer than I feel. "I don't trust it. Something feels off." She barely glances at me, her movements brisk and determined. "You're not the owner of me, Adam," she snaps, her tone icy. She doesn't even pause to look at me, just keeps packing, as if my concerns are nothing more than an inconvenience. I sigh, running a hand through my hair. "Amelia, please. I'm just trying to protect you." She spins around, eyes flashing. "Protect me? Or control me?" There's venom in her words, the kind that's been building for months. "I need excitement, Adam, not your constant worrying." The argument is familiar, a broken record that's been playing for too long. I want to reach out, to grab her hand, to pull her back to me, but the distance between us feels insurmountable. She's already checked out, living for the thrill that I can't or won't provide. "Fine," I say, defeated. "Go. But don't expect me to be here waiting when you get back." She doesn't reply, just tosses the last of her things into the bag and storms past me, her perfume lingering in the air long after she's gone. I'm left standing in the silence of our bedroom, the reality of our fractured marriage pressing down on me. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at the door she just walked through. My name is Adam, and I've always been the steady one in our relationship. Amelia craves excitement, something I used to love about her, but now it feels like a wedge driven between us. We've been on the rocks for a while, but I still love her. I still want to save us. Hours pass, and the house feels emptier with each ticking second. I try to distract myself, but every sound, every creak of the floorboards makes me think she's come back. I want to believe she'll walk through the door, smile, and everything will be okay. But deep down, I know that's a lie. When she finally returns, it's late. She moves quietly, slipping into bed beside me without a word. I want to reach out, to hold her, but something stops me. There's a new distance between us, something cold and unfamiliar. I wake up the next morning, groggy, reaching out for her. My hand brushes against something wet and slimy. Confusion turns to horror as I sit up, staring at the used protection in my hand. My heart pounds as I look over at the nightstand, where a note waits for me. "You forgot to return this to your lover." My world crumbles. I stare at the used protection in my hand, my mind racing. The note beside it taunts me. "You forgot to return this to your lover." My stomach churns as reality hits. Amelia's been cheating. The bed where we've shared so much feels foreign, like it belongs to someone else, someone who has betrayed me in the worst way possible. I drop the protection, wiping my hand on the sheets as if I can erase the filth that now clings to me. My heart pounds in my chest, anger boiling up from deep inside. I thought we could fix things, that our marriage was just going through a rough patch. But this is unforgivable. I storm out of the bedroom, my feet carrying me downstairs before I even realize what I'm doing. The morning light filters through the curtains, mocking me with its normalcy. I grab my phone from the kitchen counter, scrolling through Amelia's messages, hoping for some explanation, some lie that might soften the blow. But there's nothing. No messages, no calls, no trace of this other man. She's covered her tracks well, but not well enough. She's still asleep upstairs, unaware that her secret is out. I want to wake her, to scream at her, to demand answers. But I know I need to keep a level head. I can't let my emotions get the better of me. Not yet. I need to think, to figure out my next move. But every time I close my eyes, I see that note, that sickening reminder of her betrayal. The clock on the wall ticks loudly, each second stretching out into eternity. I can't stand it anymore. I march back upstairs, my fists clenched at my sides. Amelia is still lying in bed, her breathing steady, her hair splayed out on the pillow. She looks peaceful, innocent, but I know better now. Amelia, I say, my voice low and cold. She stirs, blinking up at me with a sleepy smile that quickly fades when she sees the look on my face. Adam, what's wrong? She asks, sitting up and pulling the covers around her. Her eyes dart to the nightstand, and I see the moment she realizes what I found. What's wrong? I repeat, my voice rising. You tell me, Amelia. You tell me why I woke up to find a used protection in our bed and a note from your lover. Her face drains of color, and she looks away, biting her lip. It's not what you think, she says, her voice trembling. I can explain. Explain. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. You can explain this? Go ahead, I'm all ears. She hesitates, then sighs, her shoulders slumping. It was a mistake, Adam. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just once, and I regretted it immediately. I didn't want to hurt you. Didn't want to hurt me? My voice is raw, my anger barely contained. You've been lying to me for God knows how long, sneaking around behind my back, and you expect me to believe it was just once? It was, I swear, she pleads, reaching out to touch my arm, but I pull away. Her touch feels like poison now, burning through the remnants of my trust. Who is he? I demand. Who's the man you've been sleeping with? She hesitates again, and I can see her calculating, trying to decide how much to tell me. He's nobody, Adam. Just some guy I met at the club. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? I shake my head, disgusted. You've risked everything we have for something that didn't mean anything? Who are you, Amelia? Because I don't recognize the woman in front of me. Tears well up in her eyes and she starts to cry, but I feel no sympathy, no pity. She made her choices and now she has to live with them. I'm sorry, she whispers. I was lonely. And you've been so distant lately. I didn't know how to reach you. I laugh again, but this time it's bitter. So this is my fault? You cheated because I wasn't paying enough attention to you? That's rich, Amelia. Real rich. She sobs harder, burying her face in her hands. I stand there feeling numb, the anger slowly being replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I'm done, I say quietly. We're done. Her head snaps up, her eyes wide with panic. Adam, no. Please, we can work through this. I'll do anything. I love you. Love, I scoff. You don't know the meaning of the word. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You've destroyed everything we had, and there's no coming back from that. She reaches out for me again, but I step back out of her reach. Don't, I warn. You made your bed, Amelia. Now you have to lie in it. I turn and walk out of the bedroom, her cries echoing behind me. But I don't stop. I can't stop. I need to get out of this house, away from her, away from the lies and the betrayal. I grab my keys and head for the door, slamming it behind me as I leave. The drive is a blur, my mind racing as I try to make sense of everything. How could I have been so blind? So stupid? I should have seen the signs, should have known something was wrong. But I wanted to believe in us, in her. I wanted to believe that we could make it work. I pull into a parking lot, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turn white. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the storm raging inside me. I need to think, to figure out what to do next. But all I can think about is that note, that goddamn note. I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone, scrolling through my contacts until I find the number I'm looking for. I hesitate for a moment, then press call. Hey, it's Adam, I say when the line connects. I need to talk to you. It's about Amelia. I'm sitting in a dingy bar nursing a whiskey when John walks in. He spots me and makes his way over, his expression grim. John's been my best friend since college, and he's the only person I trust right now. What's going on? He asks, sliding into the booth across from me. I take a sip of my drink, the burn of the alcohol dulling the edges of my anger. Amelia's been cheating on me, I say, my voice flat. John's eyes widen, and he swears under his breath. Are you sure? I nod, pulling the note out of my pocket and handing it to him. He reads it, his jaw tightening. Jesus, Adam, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, Sorry doesn't fix this, I mutter, taking another drink. I need to know who this guy is, John. I need to know everything. He looks at me for a long moment, then nods. I'll see what I can find out. But you need to be careful, Adam. This could get ugly. Ugly, I scoff. It's already ugly. I just want the truth. John sighs, rubbing a hand over his face. All right. I'll make some calls, see what I can dig up. But promise me you won't do anything stupid. I don't respond. Just take another drink. I can't make any promises. Not when I feel like my whole world is falling apart. The next few days are a blur of anger, suspicion, and waiting. John's working his contacts trying to get me answers, but it's slow going. Meanwhile, I'm stuck at home with Amelia, who's walking on eggshells trying to avoid me. The tension is suffocating. The silence between us a constant reminder of everything that's gone wrong. I've been sleeping in the guest room, unable to even look at her without feeling a fresh wave of betrayal. She's tried to talk to me a few times, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but I shut her down every time. I can't listen to her lies anymore. Can't stand the sight of her. I'm sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the TV when my phone buzzes. It's a message from John. Got something. Meet me at the usual spot. My heart pounds as I grab my keys and head out the door. The usual spot is a small coffee shop downtown where John and I have met for years. It's quiet, out of the way, and the perfect place to talk without being overheard. When I walk in, John's already there, a coffee in front of him. He looks up as I approach, his expression serious. What did you find? I ask, sitting down across from him. He slides a folder across the table, and I open it, my eyes scanning the contents. There are pictures, reports, details of Amelia's affair, but what catches my eye is a name, one I recognize from the news. Wait, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. Is this? John nods grimly. Yeah, the guy Amelia's been seeing is connected to some pretty nasty stuff, Adam. He's not just some random guy from the club. He's dangerous. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. How dangerous? Drug trafficking, money laundering, you name it. He's bad news, Adam. And if he finds out you're digging into his business, I swallow hard, my mind racing. This isn't just about an affair anymore. This is something much bigger, much more dangerous than I ever could have imagined. What the hell is Amelia thinking? I mutter, running a hand through my hair. How did she even get involved with someone like this? John shakes his head. I don't know. But you need to be careful, Adam. If this guy thinks you're a threat, his words hang in the air, the unspoken warning clear. I'm in over my head and I know it. But I can't just walk away, not now. I need to know the truth, to figure out how deep this goes. What do I do? I ask, my voice shaky. John looks at me, his expression serious. You get out, Adam. Get out while you still can. This isn't just about your marriage anymore. It's about your safety. But I can't leave it alone. Not yet. Not until I know everything. The days drag on, each one more tense than the last. I can't eat, can't sleep, can't focus on anything except the growing danger that seems to be closing in around me. Amelia knows something is wrong, but I haven't told her what I've learned. I can't bring myself to confront her again, not until I have all the pieces. I spend hours on my laptop trying to piece together the puzzle. There's more to this than just an affair. I can feel it. But every time I think I'm getting closer to the truth, I hit another dead end. And then one night, it all comes crashing down. I'm in the guest room, the only place I can find any peace, when I hear a noise downstairs. My heart jumps into my throat and I sit up, listening. It's late, too late for anyone to be visiting, and the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I hear it again, the creak of a floorboard, the soft thud of footsteps. Someone's in the house. I move quietly, grabbing the baseball bat I keep under the bed. My hands tremble as I make my way down the stairs, every shadow a potential threat. My mind races, thinking of all the worst-case scenarios. Amelia's lover, someone sent to shut me up, or worse. The living room is dark, but I can just make out a figure standing by the window. Their back to me. I raise the bat, ready to swing, when the figure turns around. It's Amelia. She's holding something in her hand, and in the dim light, I can see the gleam of metal. My heart stops as I realize what it is. A gun. Amelia, I say, my voice barely more than a whisper. What are you doing? She looks at me, her eyes wide with fear. But there's something else there too. Something cold and determined. I'm sorry, Adam, she says, her voice trembling. But I can't let you do this. I can't let you ruin everything. I don't have time to react before she raises the gun and pulls the trigger. The world goes dark. The darkness is overwhelming. I can't tell if I'm awake or dreaming, but my body's heavy, my mind clouded. Slowly, pain starts to register, sharp and relentless, throbbing in my side. I force my eyes open, but the world around me is a blur of shadows and light. I'm on the floor of my living room, the cold wood pressing against my cheek. I try to move, but a searing pain shoots through my abdomen, and I gasp, the sound barely audible over the ringing in my ears. The taste of blood fills my mouth, metallic and bitter. Amelia stands over me, the gun still clutched in her trembling hand. Her face is pale, eyes wide with shock. She looks at me as if she can't quite believe what she's done. Adam, she whispers, her voice shaking. Oh my God, Adam, I didn't mean to. The words come out garbled, and I realize I'm trying to speak. The pain is too much, and I can't form a coherent thought. My vision blurs again, but I fight to stay conscious. I can't black out. Not now. Not when everything depends on what happens next. Amelia drops the gun, and it clatters to the floor beside me. She falls to her knees, her hands hovering over me, unsure whether to touch me or pull away. I'm so sorry, she sobs. I didn't mean for this to happen. I just wanted to scare you, to stop you from... Her words trail off, but I know what she was going to say. Stop me from finding out the truth. Stop me from unraveling the tangled web of lies she's been spinning. My mind races, trying to piece together what little I know. Amelia's lover is dangerous, involved in criminal activities far beyond anything I ever imagined. And now here I am, bleeding out on the floor, a victim of her desperate attempt to protect her secrets. She finally touches me, her hands pressing against the wound in a feeble attempt to stop the bleeding. The pain intensifies, and I groan, the sound raw and animalistic. Stay with me, she begs, her voice panicked. We can fix this, Adam. We can fix everything. Fix this? Fix everything? The absurdity of her words almost makes me laugh, but the sound that escapes my lips is more of a strangled cough. There's no fixing this, not anymore. I close my eyes, trying to block out the pain, trying to think of a way out. But my thoughts are sluggish, the darkness creeping back in, threatening to pull me under. I can't let that happen. I can't let Amelia win. Somewhere in the distance, I hear a siren, faint but growing louder. Did she call 911? Or is this something else? A coincidence? Or did she plan this? The questions swirl in my mind, but I can't focus on them. All I can do is cling to consciousness, hoping the sirens will reach me in time. Please, Adam, Amelia pleads, her voice barely audible over the ringing in my ears. Don't leave me. I love you. The words cut through me, sharper than the pain in my side. She loves me? After everything she's done, after the lies and betrayal, she dares to say she loves me? I don't have the strength to respond, but my thoughts are clear. Her love is as twisted as the situation she's put us in. The sirens are closer now, right outside the house. I hear the sound of car doors slamming, voices shouting. Amelia scrambles to her feet, panic written all over her face. She looks around, frantic, as if searching for a way out, a way to escape the consequences of her actions. But there is no escape. Not this time. The door bursts open, and two police officers rush in, guns drawn. They take in the scene, the gun on the floor, me lying in a pool of my own blood, and Amelia standing there, covered in my blood, looking like a deer caught in the headlights. Drop to the ground, one of the officers shouts, and Amelia complies, her hands up, tears streaming down her face. They cuff her, but my attention is fading. One officer rushes to my side, pressing something against my wound, trying to staunch the bleeding. The pain intensifies and I groan, my vision swimming. "Stay with me, buddy," the officer says, his voice urgent. "We've got an ambulance on the way. You're going to be okay." But I don't feel okay. I feel cold, and the darkness is creeping in again, stronger this time. I want to fight it, but I'm so tired. I just want to close my eyes and let it all go. The last thing I hear before the world goes black is Amelia's voice, sobbing my name. When I wake up, the first thing I notice is the sterile smell of antiseptic. My body feels heavy, weighed down by the blankets covering me. I try to move, but a dull ache radiates from my side, and I groan, my throat dry and scratchy. I'm in a hospital room, the steady beep of machines the only sound. I blink, trying to clear the fog from my mind. Slowly, memories start to trickle back. Amelia, the gun, the police. The realization that I'm still alive is almost too much to process. A nurse enters the room, her expression softening when she sees me awake. "You're up," she says gently, moving to my bedside. "How are you feeling?" "Like I got shot," I croak, my voice barely more than a whisper. She smiles sympathetically, adjusting the IV in my arm. "You were lucky," she says. "The bullet missed your vital organs, but you lost a lot of blood." "You've been out for a couple of days." "Amelia?" I managed to ask, the name tasting bitter on my tongue. Her expression darkened slightly. "She's in custody. The police will want to speak to you when you're ready." I nod, closing my eyes as the reality of the situation crashes over me. Amelia's in jail. I'm in a hospital bed, recovering from a gunshot wound inflicted by my own wife. It feels surreal, like a nightmare I can't wake up from. Over the next few days, I drift in and out of consciousness, the pain meds dulling my senses. The police come to take my statement, and I recount everything. How I found out about the affair, the confrontation, the gun. They listen carefully, their faces unreadable, but I can tell they believe me. The evidence is overwhelming. But even as I tell them the truth, part of me feels disconnected, like this is happening to someone else. It's only when I'm alone, the quiet of the hospital room pressing in on me, that the full weight of what happened starts to sink in. My marriage is over, shattered beyond repair. Amelia, the woman I loved, tried to kill me to protect her secrets. And yet, despite everything, a part of me still feels responsible, like I should have seen this coming, should have done something to prevent it. The guilt gnaws at me, a constant companion in the dark hours of the night. A week passes before I'm stable enough to be discharged. The doctors warn me to take it easy, to avoid any stress or strenuous activity, but I know that's impossible. My life has been turned upside down, and there's no easy path to recovery. John is there to pick me up, his expression grim. He's been my rock through all of this, the one person I can rely on. As we drive back to my house, he doesn't say much, just lets the silence fill the space between us. I'm grateful for it. I don't have the energy for conversation. When we pull up to my house, it feels different, like it doesn't belong to me anymore. The memories of what happened here are too fresh, too painful. I hesitate at the door, my hand hovering over the handle. "Are you sure you want to go in?" John asks quietly, sensing my unease. I nod, swallowing hard. "I need to." The inside of the house is just as I left it, but it feels cold, sterile. The bloodstains have been cleaned, but I can still see them in my mind, dark and accusing. I walk through the room slowly, trying to reclaim some sense of normalcy, but it's impossible. Every corner holds a memory, a reminder of what I've lost. The guest room is the only place that feels remotely safe, so I set up camp there, avoiding the master bedroom like it's a plague. I can't bring myself to sleep in the bed I once shared with Amelia, can't face the ghosts that linger there. Days turn into weeks, and I begin the slow process of untangling my life from Amelia's. The divorce is inevitable, and I file the papers as soon as I'm able. She doesn't contest it. How could she? The evidence is damning, and I have no doubt she'll face serious charges for what she's done. But even as I go through the motions, there's a part of me that feels hollow, like I'm just going through the steps without any real purpose. The anger I felt has been replaced by a numbness that I can't seem to shake. John tries to get me out of the house to take my mind off things, but I decline most of his offers. I'm not ready to face the world yet, not ready to pretend that everything is okay. It's not okay. It might never be okay again. One day I receive a letter in the mail from Amelia. I almost throw it away, but curiosity gets the better of me. Her handwriting is shaky, almost unrecognizable, and as I read her words, I feel a mix of anger and pity. She apologizes, of course. She says she never meant for things to go this far, that she loved me, but that love became twisted, poisoned by fear and desperation. She begs for forgiveness, not for what she did, but for how she ruined us, for how she let things spiral out of control. I crumple the letter in my fist, the words meaningless to me. There's no forgiveness to be found here. Not for her, not for myself. I toss the letter into the trash, feeling a small sense of satisfaction as it disappears from sight. But the satisfaction is fleeting, replaced by the same emptiness that has been gnawing at me since that night. I know I need to find a way to move on, to rebuild my life, but I don't know where to start. The future feels uncertain, like a vast, empty void stretching out before me. The trial looms on the horizon, a grim reminder that this nightmare is far from over. I'll have to face Amelia again, have to relive everything in front of a jury, strangers who will judge us both. The thought fills me with dread, but I know there's no avoiding it. As I sit in the quiet of my house, the shadows lengthening as the sun sets, I realize that I'm not just fighting for a divorce anymore. I'm fighting for my life, for my future, and it's a fight I'm determined to win, no matter what it takes. Because in the end, I have to believe that there's something worth fighting for. Something beyond the pain, beyond the betrayal, a chance to start over, to build something new from the ashes of what was destroyed. And that's a fight I can't afford to lose. The courtroom is stifling, the air thick with tension. I sit at the plaintiff's table, my attorney by my side, the weight of the past few months pressing down on me like a vice. My mind is a whirlwind of emotions, fear, anger, anticipation. This is it, the culmination of everything that's happened. The trial that will decide not just the fate of my marriage, but my future. Amelia is seated across the room, flanked by her own lawyer. She looks different now, diminished somehow, like the events have hollowed her out from the inside. Gone is the confident, carefree woman I once knew, replaced by someone who seems fragile, almost lost. But I can't afford to feel sorry for her. Not now. She's dangerous, and I need to remember that. The judge enters and everyone rises. I barely hear the formalities, my focus entirely on the moment at hand. The opening statements blur together, my attorney laying out our case with calm precision, while Amelia's lawyer tries to paint her as a woman who made mistakes but is not a criminal. The words bounce off me. I'm too caught up in my own thoughts, replaying every moment that led us here. The prosecution starts with a clear, methodical breakdown of the evidence. The affair, the money transfers, the connections to criminal activities, all of it laid bare for the court to see. I can feel the tension ratchet up with each new piece of information, every damning detail that pulls the noose tighter around Amelia's neck. I steal a glance at her, hoping to catch some reaction, but she remains impassive, her expression carefully controlled. I don't know if it's fear or defiance that keeps her face so still, but it unnerves me. Even now, with everything out in the open, she's still a mystery to me. My thoughts drift to that night, the moment when she pulled the trigger. I remember the look in her eyes, the cold resolve mixed with something like regret. It's a memory that haunts me, a reminder of how close I came to losing everything. I can't shake the feeling that there's still more to her story, something she's not telling me, not telling anyone. When it's time for me to take the stand, my heart pounds in my chest. I've gone over my testimony 100 times with my lawyer, but nothing could prepare me for the reality of it. The questions come quickly, my responses rehearsed yet feeling raw as they come out of my mouth. I recount the discovery of her affair, the lies, the threats, the gunshot. Each word feels like a fresh wound, but I push through it, knowing I have to. The defense tries to twist my words to make it seem like I'm the one who pushed her to this point. They bring up my distance, my suspicion, even my decision to file for divorce as if it justifies her actions. But I stand my ground, refusing to let them paint me as the villain in my own story. This isn't about who loved who more or who failed in their duties as a spouse. This is about survival, about what she tried to do to me. When Amelia takes the stand, I brace myself. Her lawyer goes through the motions, asking about our marriage, the affair, her reasons for everything she's done. She plays the part well, the remorseful wife who lost her way, who made terrible choices in a moment of weakness. She cries at the right moments, her voice trembling as she talks about how she never wanted to hurt me, how she only wanted to protect herself from the mess she'd gotten into. But when my lawyer cross-examines her, the cracks begin to show. The calm facade slips as he presses her on the details, on the money, on her lover's criminal connections. She stumbles over her answers, her composure fraying as she realizes she can't talk her way out of this. And then comes the question we've all been waiting for, the one that could make or break everything. Amelia, why did you shoot your husband? The courtroom goes silent, everyone leaning in, waiting for her response. She looks at me then, her eyes filled with something I can't quite place. Fear? Regret? Hatred? Maybe all of them. She opens her mouth to speak, but no sound comes out. She's trapped, caught between the truth and whatever story she's been telling herself to justify it. I was scared, she finally whispers, her voice barely audible. I didn't know what else to do. It's a weak answer, and everyone in the room knows it. The tension breaks as the judge calls for a recess, and I slump back in my chair, drained from the confrontation. This isn't over, not by a long shot, but I feel like we've gained some ground, that maybe justice is within reach. During the break, my lawyer pulls me aside, his expression serious. We're in a good position, he says, but we can't get complacent. The defense is going to try to discredit you, make you look like the aggressor. They're desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. I nod, understanding the warning. This isn't just about winning the case. It's about staying vigilant, about not letting my guard down until the very end. The stakes are too high. As we head back into the courtroom, I can't help but feel a surge of determination. I've come this far, survived this much. I won't let Amelia or her lover take anything more from me. I've lost too much already, my trust, my love, my sense of safety, but I won't lose my future. That's something I still have control over. The rest of the trial passes in a blur, the days blending together as witness after witness takes the stand. The prosecution presents a strong case, backed by evidence that's hard to refute. Amelia's defense, on the other hand, grows increasingly erratic, as if they're grasping at straws. But it's when her lover is called to testify that things take a dramatic turn. He's arrogant, dismissive, treating the court with a kind of disdain that makes my skin crawl. He tries to downplay his relationship with Amelia, to make it seem like she was just a fling, something meaningless. But under cross-examination, his story starts to unravel. The prosecution picks apart his lies, exposing the connections to organized crime, the money laundering schemes, the threats he made to me. As he squirms under the pressure, I feel a grim satisfaction. This is the man who thought he could take everything from me, who thought he could use Amelia and discard her when she was no longer useful. But now he's the one on the ropes, his carefully constructed facade crumbling before my eyes. The climax comes when the prosecution produces a series of recordings, conversations between Amelia and her lover that were captured as part of the investigation. In them, they discuss their plans, their fears, their justifications for everything they've done. It's chilling to hear their voices, so cold and calculating, as they talk about me as if I'm just an obstacle to be removed. The recordings are damning, leaving no room for doubt about their intentions. As the final one plays, the courtroom is silent. the tension palpable. When it ends, the prosecution rests its case, confident that they've done enough to secure a conviction. But as I sit there, waiting for the defense's final move, I can't shake the feeling that something is about to happen, something unexpected. And I'm right. Amelia's lawyer stands, a look of desperation in his eyes. He asks for a recess, and when the judge grants it, he pulls Amelia aside, whispering furiously in her ear. I watch as her expression changes, her face growing pale, her eyes widening in shock. She shakes her head, but he grabs her arm, his grip tight, and I can see the fear in her eyes. When they return to the courtroom, there's a new tension in the air, a sense that something is about to break. The judge calls the court to order, and Amelia's lawyer steps forward, his voice shaky as he announces that they have a new piece of evidence to present. The room buzzes with murmurs, and I feel my heart skip a beat. What could they possibly have that they haven't already shown? What card are they playing now? The lawyer reaches into his briefcase and pulls out a document, handing it to the judge. As the judge reads it, his expression grows dark, and he glances up at Amelia, who is visibly trembling. This document, the judge begins, his voice stern, is a signed affidavit from a witness who claims to have information that could change the course of this trial. Given the gravity of the situation, I'm allowing it to be entered into evidence, but I warn you, counselor, if this is a stunt, it's not, Your Honor, the lawyer says quickly. This witness is prepared to testify under oath, and their statement is crucial to understanding the full context of the events in question. My mind races as I try to figure out what's going on. Who is this witness? What could they possibly know that hasn't already been uncovered? The judge nods to the bailiff, who steps out of the courtroom and returns a moment later with a man I've never seen before. He's middle-aged, with a worn face and a nervous demeanor. He takes the stand, his hands shaking as he's sworn in. Please state your name and occupation for the record, the judge instructs. My name is Richard Hale, the man says, his voice quivering. I'm a private investigator. My heart sinks as I realize what this means. Amelia must have hired him to dig up dirt on me, to find something, anything that could be used against me in court. But why reveal it now? What could this man possibly say that would change the outcome of the trial? As he begins to speak, the tension in the room escalates. He talks about how Amelia hired him to follow me, to gather evidence that could be used in a divorce. But then he reveals something that makes my blood run cold. I was following Mr. Grant, he says, glancing nervously at me, when I stumbled upon something unexpected. I overheard a conversation between Amelia and her lover, discussing a plan to eliminate Mr. Grant. The room erupts in gasps, the shockwave of his words rippling through the courtroom. I feel like the ground has just dropped out from under me. They weren't just trying to protect themselves. They were actively planning to kill me. Richard continues, describing how he recorded the conversation, how he was too scared to come forward earlier because of the powerful people involved. He plays the recording, and my blood turns to ice as I hear Amelia's voice, cold and calculating, discussing the best way to make my death look like an accident. It's all too much, too horrifying to process. The courtroom feels like it's spinning around me, the faces of the jury, the judge, everyone blurring together. I can barely breathe as the weight of it all crashes down on me. They were going to kill me. They were going to end my life, take everything from me and move on like I never existed. When the recording ends, the judge looks at Amelia with a mixture of disgust and pity. Her lawyer sits down, defeated, knowing there's no coming back from this. In the end, the verdict is swift, guilty on all counts. Amelia and her lover are led away in handcuffs, their futures sealed by their own treachery. As I watch them go, I feel a strange sense of emptiness, like a balloon that's been punctured and left to deflate. I've won, but at what cost? My life is in shambles, my trust shattered, my heart broken. There's no going back to the way things were, no undoing the damage that's been done. But maybe, just maybe, I can start to rebuild. As I leave the courtroom, the weight of the past few months pressing down on me like a heavy cloak, I realize that this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a new chapter, one that I'll have to write on my own. And no matter how hard it is, I know one thing for sure. I survived. And that means I still have a chance to find something worth living for. The trial is over, but the aftermath feels like a different kind of battle. Winning in court hasn't brought the closure I expected. The victory is hollow, leaving me with a life in pieces and a future I barely recognize. Amelia's gone, her fate sealed by her own actions. But the consequences linger in every corner of my life. The first thing I do is move out of the house. The memories there are too raw, too painful to face every day. I find a small apartment on the other side of town, away from the life I once knew. It's nothing special, a one-bedroom with just enough space for me to start over. But it's mine, a place where I can try to rebuild without the constant reminders of what happened. The process of packing up the house is grueling, both physically and emotionally. Every object I pick up carries a weight of its own, a reminder of the life Amelia and I once shared. The wedding photos, the souvenirs from our vacations, the little notes she used to leave for me, all of it feels like a cruel joke now, relics from a time when I believed in us, in her. I don't keep much, just the essentials, a few personal items that don't carry too much emotional baggage. The rest I leave behind or donate. I want a clean slate, a fresh start, but it's hard to let go of the past completely. It clings to me, a shadow that follows me into my new life. The divorce is finalized quickly, thanks to the overwhelming evidence from the trial. Amelia doesn't contest it. She can't, not after everything that's come to light. The settlement is heavily in my favor. I get the house, the car, and a significant portion of our joint assets. But none of it feels like a victory. It's just stuff, things that no longer hold any meaning for me. I'm left with more money than I know what to do with, but no sense of satisfaction. The financial security is cold comfort when I'm still waking up in the middle of the night, haunted by the memories of what she did. The nightmares are vivid, replaying the moment she pulled the trigger, the look in her eyes as she aimed the gun at me. I can't escape it, not even in sleep. The scars from the gunshot wound are a constant reminder too. The physical pain has mostly faded, but the psychological impact remains. Every time I see the scar in the mirror, I'm reminded of how close I came to losing everything, of how Amelia almost succeeded in ending my life. It's a daily battle to push those thoughts away, to focus on the fact that I survived. I start seeing a therapist, something I never thought I'd do. The first few sessions are tough. I'm not used to opening up to strangers, especially about something so personal. But I realize I need help to process everything, to find a way to move forward. The therapist helps me confront my feelings, the guilt, the anger, the confusion. She tells me it's okay to feel all of these things, that healing takes time. The sessions are cathartic in a way I didn't expect. I start to unpack the emotions I've been carrying around, the weight of Amelia's betrayal, the pain of losing the life I thought we were building together. It's not an easy process, but it's a necessary one. Little by little, I begin to understand that the path to healing isn't about forgetting what happened, but about accepting it and learning to live with it. Work becomes my refuge during this time. I throw myself into it, taking on extra projects, staying late at the office. The routine is comforting, a way to keep my mind occupied. My colleagues know what happened, but they don't ask questions. They give me space, for which I'm grateful. The last thing I want is pity. Despite everything, I can't avoid the moments when the memories creep back in. The sight of a couple walking hand in hand, the sound of a familiar song on the radio, even just the scent of Amelia's favorite perfume lingering in a department store, these things catch me off guard, pulling me back into the past when I least expect it. But I'm learning to deal with it, to acknowledge the pain and then let it go. One of the hardest things to accept is that I'll never really know Amelia's full story. The trial revealed so much, but there are still pieces missing, questions that will never be answered. What drove her to the decision she made? Was there ever a moment when she truly loved me, or was it all a facade? These are questions that will haunt me for a long time, but I'm starting to understand that I may never get the closure I crave. As the weeks turn into months, I slowly start to find a new rhythm. I begin to reconnect with old friends, people I'd lost touch with during the years of my marriage. It's strange at first, stepping back into a social life after everything that's happened, but it feels good to be around people who care about me, who knew me before all of this. One evening, I find myself at a small gathering at John's place. It's a casual get-together, just a few friends and some drinks. For the first time in a long while, I feel a sense of normalcy. We talk about everything but the trial, the divorce, or Amelia. It's a welcome distraction. During the evening, I catch the eye of a woman I don't recognize. She's sitting across the room talking to one of John's friends. There's something about her that draws me in. Maybe it's the way she smiles or the easy confidence in her posture. I find myself watching her, intrigued. As the night goes on, we eventually end up talking. Her name is Sarah, and she's a friend of John's wife. We hit it off immediately, the conversation flowing easily. There's no pressure, no expectations, just two people enjoying each other's company. For the first time since everything happened, I feel a spark of something I thought I'd lost. Hope. It's a strange feeling, almost foreign after everything I've been through. But it's there, a small flicker of light in the darkness. We exchange numbers at the end of the night, and I leave feeling lighter than I have in months. I'm not ready to dive into anything serious. I'm still dealing with too much, but it's nice to know that there's life beyond the wreckage of my marriage, that there's a possibility for something new. As I walk back to my apartment, I think about how far I've come. The journey hasn't been easy, and I know I still have a long way to go, but I'm starting to see a way forward, a path that's not defined by the pain and betrayal of the past. The next few weeks are a blur of small, tentative steps toward a new life. I start going out more, reconnecting with old hobbies, rediscovering the things that make me happy. Sarah and I text occasionally, but there's no rush, no pressure. It's refreshing, a reminder that I can take my time, that I don't have to jump into anything before I'm ready. I also make a decision that surprises even me. I go back to the house one last time. I've avoided it since moving out, but something compels me to return, to confront the place where everything fell apart. The house is empty now, stripped of all the furniture and belongings that once filled it. It feels like a shell, a hollow echo of the life I used to know. I walk through the rooms, each one a reminder of what was lost, but also of what I've survived. In the master bedroom, I stand in the spot where I found that used protection, where the first cracks in my marriage began to show. The memories are painful, but they don't have the same power over me that they once did. I've changed, grown stronger in ways I didn't expect. As I leave the house for the final time, I feel a sense of closure. It's not the kind of closure that comes with all the answers or a neatly tied up ending. It's the kind that comes from within, from knowing that I've faced the worst and come out the other side. I'm healing, both physically and emotionally. The scars, both visible and invisible, are still there, but they're no longer the defining features of my life. I'm more than what happened to me. I'm more than the man whose wife betrayed him, more than the victim of a violent crime. I'm Adam, and I'm moving forward. In the weeks that follow, I find myself thinking less about the past and more about the future. The nightmares become less frequent, the memories less painful. I focus on the things that bring me joy, the simple pleasures of a morning coffee, a good book, a long walk in the park. These are the moments that remind me that life goes on, that there's still beauty to be found, even after everything I've been through. Sarah and I start seeing each other more regularly. It's slow, tentative, but it feels right. We're both cautious, both carrying our own scars, but there's something comforting in the way we understand each other. There's no rush, no pressure, just the possibility of something good. As I sit with her one evening, watching the sunset from her apartment window, I realize that I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm starting to live again. It's not the life I imagined, not the one I planned with Amelia, but it's a life worth living. The process of healing isn't linear. There are setbacks, moments when the past feels too heavy to bear, but I'm learning to navigate those moments, to reach out for help when I need it, to be kind to myself when the memories resurface. It's a journey, one that I'm committed to, one step at a time. And with each step, I feel the weight of the past lifting, the darkness receding. There's still a long road ahead, but for the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to what's next. As I lie in bed that night, staring up at the ceiling, I think about the man I was when this all began. The man who loved Amelia, who believed in their future, who couldn't imagine a life without her. That man is gone, replaced by someone stronger, someone who's learned that life doesn't always go as planned, but that there's always a way forward, even from the darkest places. I close my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, I fall asleep with a sense of peace, of hope. The scars will always be there, but they no longer define me. I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next, to build a new life on my own terms. And as the morning light filters through the window, I wake up with a sense of purpose, a sense of possibility. The past is behind me, and the future is mine to shape. I survived, and now it's time to live. Amelia's name flashes on my phone screen, and I hesitate before answering. I haven't spoken to her since the trial ended, since the divorce papers were signed and we went our separate ways. But something in me, curiosity, closure, or maybe just a need to finally put this chapter behind me, makes me swipe to accept the call. "Adam," she says, her voice softer than I remember. "Can we talk?" I pause, the memories of everything that's happened flooding back in a rush. The betrayal, the lies, the violence. But I need this conversation, need to close the door on what was once my life with her. "All right," I reply, keeping my tone even. "Where?" "Someplace public," she suggests. "Neutral." I agree, and we settle on a cafe downtown, one we used to visit when things were still good between us. The choice of location feels ironic, but perhaps that's fitting. It's a place where we once felt close, and now it's where we'll make our final break. When I arrive, Amelia is already seated at a corner table, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee. She looks different, thinner, more fragile, but it's her eyes that catch me off guard. They're no longer filled with the sharp, calculating glint I'd grown used to. Now they seem hollow, lost. "Adam," she says again as I sit down. There's a tremor in her voice, and I wonder if she's as nervous as I am. "Amelia." I nod, waiting for her to start. I don't plan to make this easy for her. She's the one who asked for this meeting after all. She takes a deep breath, and for a moment, I see a flash of the woman I once loved, the one who could draw me in with just a look, a smile. But that woman is long gone, replaced by the stranger sitting across from me now. "I don't know where to begin," she admits, her fingers tightening around the cup. "I've thought about this conversation so many times, about what I would say to you. But now that you're here, everything I planned feels wrong." "Then just say what you need to say," I tell her, keeping my voice steady. "There's no need to rehearse." She nods, staring down at her coffee as if it holds the answers. "I wanted to apologize," she finally says, her voice cracking. "For everything, for the lies, the affair, the way I treated you. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know that I'm sorry." I watch her carefully, looking for signs of manipulation, but all I see is regret. Genuine or not, it's hard to tell. But I realize that it doesn't really matter. I'm not here for her apology. I'm here for my own closure. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Amelia," I say honestly. "You hurt me in ways I'm still trying to understand. But I'm trying to move on, to build a life that isn't defined by what you did to me." She flinches at my words, and I see tears welling up in her eyes. "I know," she whispers. "I know I destroyed us. I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. All I can do is live with the consequences of my actions." I nod, feeling a strange sense of relief. This conversation, difficult as it is, feels like a final chapter closing. There's no going back, no rewriting the past. But maybe, just maybe, we can both move forward now. "Is that all?" I ask, not unkindly. "Was there something else you needed to say?" She hesitates, and I see a flash of something in her eyes. Fear, uncertainty. I wanted to tell you that I'm leaving town, she says. I can't stay here. Not after everything that's happened. There are too many memories, too many reminders of what I did. I need to start over, somewhere far away from all of this. Her words surprise me, but I can't say I blame her. This town is filled with ghosts for both of us. Where will you go? I ask, genuinely curious. She shrugs, looking more lost than ever. I don't know yet. I just know I need to get away. Maybe I'll figure it out as I go. For a moment, I feel a pang of sympathy for her, but I push it aside. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. I hope you find what you're looking for, I say, meaning it, and I hope you can find some peace. She looks at me then, really looks at me, and for a second I see a flicker of the woman I once loved. Thank you, Adam, she says softly. I wish things could have been different. So do I reply, standing up. Goodbye, Amelia. She nods, wiping at her eyes as I turn to leave. I walk out of the cafe, feeling lighter than I have in months. This is it, the final break. The chapter is closed, and I'm ready to move on. The days that follow are filled with a strange sense of calm. The conversation with Amelia, as difficult as it was, has given me the closure I needed. I find myself looking forward to the future, to the possibilities that lie ahead. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe again. I continue my therapy sessions, working through the last remnants of anger and pain. My therapist helps me see that while what happened will always be a part of my story, it doesn't have to define me. I'm not the man who was betrayed anymore. I'm the man who survived, who came out the other side stronger. My relationship with Sarah deepens, but we take things slowly. There's no rush, no need to force anything. We both have our own past to deal with, our own scars to heal. But there's something comforting in the way we fit together, in the way we understand each other without needing to explain. One evening, as we sit together on the couch, I find myself opening up to her in a way I never expected. I tell her about the conversation with Amelia, about the final break and what it meant to me. She listens quietly, her hand resting on mine, offering comfort without judgment. I'm proud of you, Adam, she says when I finish. I know that couldn't have been easy. It wasn't, I admit. But it was necessary. I needed to let go, to make peace with everything that happened. She nods, her thumb brushing gently over my knuckles. And you did. You're moving forward, and that's what matters. I smile at her, feeling a warmth in my chest that's been missing for so long. Yeah, I am, I agree, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. As we sit there, the evening light casting a soft glow over the room, I realize just how far I've come. The man who walked into that cafe months ago is not the same man sitting here now. I've changed, grown, and I'm ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold. The next morning, I wake up with a sense of clarity I haven't felt in years. The past is behind me, where it belongs. The future is mine to shape. I take a deep breath, letting it out slowly, and feel the tension leave my body. There's still work to be done, still healing to be completed. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my life again. I'm not just surviving, I'm living. And that's something I didn't think would be possible after everything that happened. Sarah and I continue to grow closer, but we both understand the importance of maintaining our own identities, our own spaces. We support each other, but we don't lose ourselves in the process. It's a balance that feels healthy, that feels right. One day as we walk through the park hand in hand, I catch myself thinking about the future, our future. It's not something I'm ready to discuss just yet, but the thought doesn't scare me anymore. In fact, it fills me with a sense of hope, of excitement. As we sit down on a bench, watching the sun set over the trees, I realize that I'm truly happy. Not the fleeting, surface-level happiness that comes and goes, but a deep, enduring contentment. I've found peace with my past, with what happened with Amelia, and I'm ready to move forward to build a new life on my own terms. And as the sun dips below the horizon, casting the park in a golden light, I turn to Sarah and smile. I think we're going to be okay, I say, my voice filled with certainty. She smiles back at me, her eyes shining with warmth. I think so too, Adam, she replies, squeezing my hand. I think so too. As we sit there, I realize that this is what I've been searching for all along, a sense of belonging, of purpose, of love that isn't tainted by lies or betrayal. It's a new beginning, one that I'm ready to embrace with open arms. The past is behind me and the future is bright. I'm ready to step into it, to leave the shadows of my old life behind and start anew. And with Sarah by my side, I know that anything is possible. The sun filters through the curtains, casting a warm, golden light across the room. I wake up slowly, my mind clear and unburdened. For the first time in a long time, there's no tightness in my chest, no lingering dread of what the day might bring. I stretch, feeling the warmth of the sheets against my skin, and let out a deep breath. I'm at peace. The last few months have been transformative. I've worked hard to reclaim my life, to rebuild the pieces that were shattered when my world fell apart. It hasn't been easy. There were days when the pain felt insurmountable, when the memories threatened to pull me under. But I faced them head on, determined to emerge stronger. I get up and make my way to the kitchen. The apartment is quiet, a peaceful sanctuary that I've come to cherish. I pour myself a cup of coffee and step out onto the balcony. The city is waking up, the sounds of morning traffic and distant chatter drifting up to me. I take a sip of the coffee, savoring the moment. This is my life now, simple, calm, and entirely mine. As I stand there, I think about everything that's happened. The betrayal, the trial, the confrontation with Amelia. It all feels like a lifetime ago, a dark chapter that I've finally closed. I've come to terms with it, accepted that what happened will always be a part of my story, but it doesn't define me. I'm not the man I was back then, the man who let his life spiral out of control because of someone else's actions. I'm different now, stronger, wiser, and more at peace with who I am. I've also come to realize that forgiveness isn't about absolving someone else of their sins. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive Amelia for what she did, but I've made peace with it. I've let go of the need for vengeance, for justice. I've let go of the past, and in doing so, I've opened myself up to the possibility of a future, one that's not dictated by fear or pain, but by hope and happiness. I finish my coffee and head back inside. Today is a special day, one I've been looking forward to for weeks. Sarah and I have planned a day trip, just the two of us. It's nothing extravagant, just a hike through the nearby hills, a picnic by the lake. But it's the kind of day that fills me with a quiet joy. Sarah has been a constant in my life since the day we met, and our relationship has grown into something I cherish deeply. It's different from what I had with Amelia. There's no drama, no secrets, no lies. Just honesty, trust, and a deep understanding of each other's scars. We're taking things slow, letting our relationship develop naturally, without the pressure of expectations. And it feels right. It feels real. I get ready, packing a small bag with snacks and water. As I do, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. The man staring back at me looks different from the one I remember. There's a calmness in his eyes, a quiet strength that wasn't there before. I've been through hell, but I've come out the other side, and I'm proud of that. Sarah arrives a short while later, a bright smile on her face. We greet each other with a warm hug, and I feel the now familiar comfort of her presence. She's brought along a blanket for our picnic, and we head out together, chatting easily as we drive toward the hills. The hike is beautiful, the trail winding through lush forests and open meadows. We take our time, stopping to admire the views, to enjoy the simple pleasure of being outdoors. The weather is perfect, warm but not too hot, with a gentle breeze that keeps us cool. As we walk, I feel a deep sense of contentment, of being exactly where I'm meant to be. When we reach the lake, we find a secluded spot by the water and spread out the blanket. The picnic is simple: sandwiches, fruit, a bottle of wine, but it's perfect. We sit there for hours, talking, laughing, just enjoying each other's company. There's no rush, no need to be anywhere else. It's just us in this moment, and it feels like the world has finally stopped spinning. At one point, Sarah turns to me, her expression thoughtful. Adam, she says softly, do you ever think about the future? About what comes next? I smile, understanding the weight of her question. I do, I reply, reaching out to take her hand. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not in a hurry to get there. I'm happy with where I am right now, with us. And whatever the future holds, I'm ready for it. She squeezes my hand, her eyes warm with affection. I feel the same way, she says. I don't need grand plans or promises. I just want to keep building this, day by day together. Her words resonate with me, and I realize how much I've grown. There was a time when I was obsessed with the future, with what it held, with trying to control every aspect of it. But I've learned that life doesn't work that way. It's unpredictable, messy, and often out of our hands. All we can do is live in the present, make the most of the moments we have, and trust that the future will take care of itself. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden glow over the lake, I lean back on the blanket, pulling Sarah close. We sit there in comfortable silence, watching the colors dance across the water. It's a perfect moment, one that I'll carry with me for a long time. And in that moment, I know that I've finally found peace. I've let go of the past, of the pain and the betrayal, and I've embraced the life I have now. It's not the life I once imagined, but it's mine, and it's good. I'm stronger for everything I've been through, and I'm ready to face whatever comes next. As we pack up and head back down the trail, I feel a sense of closure that I didn't expect. The journey hasn't been easy, but I've come out the other side with a clearer sense of who I am and what I want. And as I walk beside Sarah, her hand in mine, I know that I'm not alone in this. We're building something together, something real and lasting, and that's more than enough. When we get back to my apartment, we're both tired but happy. We share a quiet dinner, talking about our plans for the week, about the little things that make up our everyday lives. It's simple, ordinary, but it's perfect. Later, as we lie in bed, the room dark and quiet around us, I find myself thinking about the future again. But this time, it's not with a sense of anxiety or uncertainty. It's with hope, with excitement for what's to come. Sarah, I say softly, turning to her in the dark, I'm glad you're in my life. She smiles, her hand reaching out to rest on my chest. I'm glad too, Adam. More than you know. And with those words, I feel a sense of completeness, of contentment that I didn't think was possible after everything that happened. The past is behind me, and the future is bright. I've learned to let go of the pain, to embrace the good, and to live in the moment. And as I close my eyes, drifting off to sleep, I know that whatever comes next, I'm ready for it. Because I've survived, I've healed, and I've found a way to be happy again. The journey has been long and hard, but it's led me here, to this moment, to this life, and for that, I'm grateful. As I lie there with Sarah beside me and the future stretching out before us, I know that I've finally found what I've been searching for all along: peace, love, and a life worth living.